So, we don't need to introduce this. Star Wars teaser trailer has just landed, and oh my word, I've got so much to say about it. Joining me is Van Connor and Steve Gallacher. How you doing?
I've got shivers. Have you got shivers, Steve?
Some shivers. It was all right, wasn't it?
It wasn't bad, that was it? No. I'm faintly excited. I think
the shot where she just jumps backwards onto I assume Kylo Ren's fighter. That was goosebumps from then on.
that was a jaw on the floor moment, wasn't it?
Yeah. I know. I'm going to be the cynic here.
Oh, Steve.
I'm going to be a cynic.
There's always one.
There's always one. I don't know. Felt a bit prequely that bit. Like I was like, oh, guys, another Force jump! Yay!
Yeah, but it looked awesome.
It did look awesome. It was cool, and she's really cool.
Yeah.
It looked good. It was nice to see Billy D. Williams again.
Yeah,
that was good.
And to see him sat where he was as well. I don't know about you, that I was misty-eyed. Like I was like brief flashpoint moment, misty-eyed, seeing Lando sat in that seat, flying that ship, in hyperspace.
That was the cool bit. And the stuff like what appears to be part of the first Death Star looked pretty cool.
Do you think it's the first?
It could be the first. It could be the second. They could be back on Endor or somewhere close by.
Yeah, I couldn't work that one out myself.
Yeah, I assume that's what it was.
But do you think they're doing a bit of a Marvel? Because Marvel teasers always tend to kind of lead us down the wrong path, and then we start like building up all these rumours in our heads that turn out to be not true in any way whatsoever, just to throw us off the scent. Do you think we've got a lot of red herrings in there?
JJ does love a mystery box, doesn't he? Like, that's the thing. But I'm kind of skeptical with what he's got planned. I think it'll be a nice ending, but also the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, that title, huh?
Yeah.
It's a bit extended universe. What do they call it now?
Yeah.
The books and cartoons and things.
Yeah, it's like what is canon and what isn't anymore.
Yeah, it does feel like that's the name of a novel that you bought from an airport in 1999 by Timothy Zahn. That kind. It has that feel to it.
Exactly. It was like, so does that mean Rey is actually a Skywalker, or is it the rise of Kylo Ren as a Skywalker?
But is it,
I bet you it is
as
well. I bet you JJ's come along. He's like, right, she's back to being a Skywalker now.
Here's one thing I've assumed since The Force Awakens that Rey is the daughter of Han and Leia, and Kylo and Rey are siblings. I don't remember that ever being confirmed, but I've always assumed that. Is that what everyone thinks?
I mean, if it is, I'll be like, really? Did we all just ignore the fact that she has no idea about this, and why did they leave her on a planet?
I actually really like the whole. Like, one of my favourite things about The Last Jedi is the idea that, in reality, she is nobody. And, I mean, it perfectly fits that movie. I actually think it's a really good thing for Star Wars mythology that it wasn't, because the end of Last Jedi, the idea that, this generation of nobodies are going to be, the new Force users. I like that idea. If she is someone of note, it kind of takes that away.
Exactly. I'd rather her be nobody. I like The Last Jedi. Unlike a lot of people, I liked it because it didn't feel like every other Star Wars movie. It felt something new and fresh, which I think Star Wars had kind of got itself into a bit of a rut of just making the same movie every time. Or the same, the prequel trilogies were just the same story as the first trilogy, just told in a slightly different way. And then they kind of did that with Episode 7. So I was like, I can't wait for something new.
Yeah,
I'm very glad that it does look as interesting and subversive as it does, because I genuinely went into that teaser trailer thinking, oh great, JJ's back. Last time he had the chance to do this, he remade the first one. What are we in for now? It does look like he's at least trying something different. He is doing something more in line with what Rian Johnson did, which I have all the time in the world for.
Yeah, and what I think
I
is
feel
great,
exactly the same.
I feel like this trilogy, there is a long game, and you can tell that particularly with Episode 8, which maybe as a standalone movie was far from the best, but I thought as the middle of a trilogy was about as good as it could be, taking you from The Force Awakens to what we now know is the Rise of Skywalker.
Interesting thing we've got with this saga is we have a chance to do the thing that everybody always gets wrong in this game. The thing that even Christopher Nolan couldn't manage, which was, if you've got a trilogy and they're pretty good movies, you've got to stick the landing. Nobody ever sticks the landing.
Yep.
This is the opportunity. We could actually see it happen. Outside of Toy Story, no one ever stuck the landing on a trilogy.
I mean, I'd take, you know, if we were taking the Avengers films as a trilogy, they stuck the landing on Infinity War, but that's just me being biased.
I'll argue that Age of Ultron is terrible, though.
Yes, but it's not. When you go back and watch, it's still a good movie. It's far better than some. But my thing with Episode 8, I think they broke the mold with Star Wars thing, and I think that means that JJ can't go backwards, and that's what I like about it. He can't just try and remake Return of the Jedi or Revenge of the Sith. He has to make something different.
I like that point.
I think, you know, Episode 8 went so far left field that it was like, right, there's no going back now. We can't just make another Star Wars movie. And, you know, because people are getting a little bit Star Wars fatigue, and you don't want that.
So what about the pressure, though, now? Because this isn't just closing off a trilogy. This is closing off a 9-film arc. How do you do that?
Yeah, but they've deliberately kept that door open, haven't they? Like, they're not really closing it down, because you've got The Mandalorian, you've got the other spin-off movies they want to do, other Star Wars things that they want to do, the TV, you know, other TV series, other film stories. It's like, they're never going to close the door properly.
Although, fair play to them, they have seemingly learned a bit of a lesson from Solo. I've only caught this in passing, I'm not sure on the specifics, but I do believe that at some point today the story has broken that after Episode 9, we're cooling it a little bit on the schedule with the Star Wars movies. We're not keeping with this one-a-year nonsense, because no franchise can sustain that. It's not sustainable, and not to the quality level of something like Last Jedi. You just can't manage it.
Disney have done what they need to do now in terms of franchising it out. They've created another trilogy. They've put their stamp on it, and now they've got enough material to sustain books and merchandise and theme park rides for the next sort of 10, 20 years. At that point, maybe they'll come back and think about doing another core trilogy or whatever else. But, you know, they've set themselves up now for the next generation of content.
Exactly, and I think that's the thing, and I think it does need to close the door a little bit, and for a little bit of time, because I think people, you know, it's one of those things that nobody's ever going to be happy. Not everybody's always going to be happy with a Star Wars movie. You're always going to get your lovers and your haters. And that,
I mean,
across the board,
am I being crazy, or do we have many of these? There's many of these films planned that are still being left on the table. Haven't we got 2 trilogies sat there waiting?
Yes, I think there's like the Game of Thrones guys doing one. Jon Favreau's got the Mandalorian, and then there's another one supposedly.
There's Ryan Johnson's. Yeah, Ryan Johnson's got a trilogy that's meant to be outside of the established Star Wars universe. It's meant to be somewhere like out in the Rim or something. And we've got Benioff and Weiss, the Game of Thrones guys, doing one, as you say. Yeah, we've still got those. So, I mean, unless we're just going to space them apart a bit more, they are going to come, but they'll just be less frequent. I'm not sure.
I mean, you know, the only way to do it is to kind of have these completely separate stories, like completely separate worlds and everything else, because it's the only way that Marvel's done it. And, you know, I'm such a champion of those movies because I've just fanboy like hell with them. But, you know, they took the mantra of, like, not just doing superhero movies, but doing other genres of movies with superheroes in them, you know, like Winter Soldier being a spy movie, Ant-Man being a heist movie, all that sort of thing. And I think that's the only way that Star Wars could sustain itself, is to kind of take elements of Star Wars, but put them in new, different genres and try and keep it going that way.
Oh, very much so. I completely agree. Although, I got to ask, there's 2 things I got to ask you about in that teaser trailer, guys. So, one, where my porgs at? No porgs in that teaser trailer, man. That is really disappointing. But also, that laugh at the end, that cackling, maniacal laugh.
Who is that?
Is it Palpatine? Is it, you know, Supreme Leader? Who knows?
It sounded like Palpatine.
I think Ian McDiarmid appearing on stage straight afterwards would seem to confirm that was Palpatine.
But how?
How is he alive?
Yeah, I mean, I did catch the very end of it. I had to run, and which I'm going to have to do now because I'm just about to go into a screening. So, but yes, I'm guessing it's Palpatine.
Okay, so just quickly then, what are we all saying about this teaser trailer? Do we know anything? Has it set your expectations high for the film?
My expectations are relatively low at the minute for a Star Wars movie, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a much better way of going into those movies, because then I'll be much less disappointed, and I'll enjoy it a lot more.
Fair point. Van?
I'm optimistic as hell. I like J.J. Abrams as a technical filmmaker. I think on a technical level, J.J. Abrams is an absolutely brilliant storyteller. I think his problem comes when he gets lazy and he starts recycling stuff. Hence, you look at things like Star Trek Into Darkness, look at The Force Awakens doing the story it does. And that, okay, there's that element there, but the man can deliver. If he's got the right script, that man's absolutely going to deliver. And that trailer would seem to indicate he might have that script.
Yeah, well, I'm absolutely psyched for this film now. I can't wait to see what they deliver. I love the fact that it's kind of stolen some Game of Thrones thunder this weekend, because everyone's going mad for that.
Yes.
And now, like, Celebration comes along, teaser trailer drops, and it's like, mic drop, Star Wars is still here. It's awesome.
Yeah, Game of who
Exactly.
now? Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, Steve, I know you got a screening, so let's wrap this up, and I'm sure we've got many more months of talking about Star Wars to come. So thanks, guys.